What does that even mean, Bowers game?
Ahoy there, YouTube! I'm back again today for another game review, and today I'm very excited to check out Unusual Suspects from Cool Mini or Not. This is for 3 to 16 players, age is 14 plus, it'll take about 20 minutes to play, and Unusual Suspects is a party game in which one player at the table is going to witness a horrendous crime, but they're going to see who committed that crime. Everybody else at the table is going to be a detective, hell-bent on figuring out who the criminal is. You're going to have a lineup of 12 people, 11 innocent, 1 guilty, but here's the problem. The witness is not going to be able to say anything. They're only going to be able to use these cards to answer broad questions. Will the detectives be able to whittle down the group of suspects and figure out who the heinous criminal is? Or will the heinous criminal get loose and do more heinousy things? What am I talking about? Let's open it up. I'll tell you what I think about it. Alrighty then, we're going to take a look at what you're going to get inside of Unusual Suspects. First and foremost, we got our handy dandy rule booklet. It's 10 pages, double-sided, full color, full of pictures, illustrations, examples. It'll have you up and running in no time at all. It's also a very simple game, so I can teach you how to play right now. So in Unusual Suspects, we'll go over the components, then we'll get into the gameplay, but what you're going to be trying to do is you are going to be trying to figure out who is the murderer. You are going to have a 4x3 grid of possible suspects. So go over the components. First, you're going to have a bunch of cards. These cards will have, people on them. Regular-looking people, fancy-looking people, of all different ethnicities, nationalities, old, young, just a bunch of different people that you might see in your day-to-day life. Also, you're going to get a whole bunch of questions, and there's 2 big stacks of these. These questions will say things like, do they go camping? Do they purchase the NBA League Pass on TV? Make up your own question. Do they have tattoos? Do they use public transportation? Do they watch reality shows? Do they eat a lot of fast food? Very generic questions. Next, you are going to have a yes-no card, which the person who is trying to identify the murderer, who's trying to do their best to do that, will have. And then also you're going to have these cards right here. So what you're going to do, we'll show you how to play the game. You're going to set up a 4x3 grid. You're going to shuffle these up. And then the one person who you have decided is going to be the witness, who you're going to be questioning, is going to secretly look and see who the murderer is. They don't say anything at all, the entire game pretty much. So we know that the murderer is right here. We know this, but everyone else at the table is not going to know this. Now, we're going to grab our check mark and our X, and the game will begin. One of the other people at the table is going to read this question aloud, and no one is going to talk aside from him. They're going to say, do they put up a Christmas tree? So now what's going to happen is the witness is going to, without saying a word, without, making any facial expressions, without grunting, without doing anything, they're either going to say yes or no. So let's take a look at this guy, and this would all be internalizing inside of our brain. We say, does this guy put up a Christmas tree? That's a really tough one. Does the murderer put up a Christmas tree? He looks like he's probably in college, maybe, so I don't think he would. But this one's a really difficult one, so we might take a second to do it, and then we would go ahead and put this down. We would not say anything else. Now, at this point, it is on the detective. So everyone else at the table who's a detective is going to try and eliminate everyone who they think would put up a Christmas tree, because the murderer would not put up a Christmas tree. So they might say things like, oh, this old lady, she's got grandkids, they come over, so I think she absolutely would put up the Christmas tree. Next, you might say, oh, same with this grandma. She definitely puts up a Christmas tree. She's got 2.5 kids, so she's definitely going to be putting up the Christmas tree. And then you might stop right there and say, I don't feel comfortable flipping over anybody else, and that would be the end of the round. If you don't flip over the murder suspect, the game is going to continue on to the next round. Now, you also have this optional score pad right here, which you're going to be able to mark how many suspects you eliminated each round. And that's going to be how much time you spent. So as you progress through the game, the longer you go, the more time you're going to be spending on this murder investigation, which obviously is bad. You don't want to spend too much time on the murder investigation. This really serves as a dual purpose too, because you can kind of keep your score inside the box, and then you can say, all right, we're super close to getting our high score. If we just eliminate this one suspect this one round, then we might have a chance to do it. So we'll go over one more round and see how this goes. So next, the next detective would say, are they superstitious? So we would look at everybody here, and then we'd say, are they superstitious? So the witness is going to be thinking inside their brain, is this guy superstitious? And I'll just say, ooh, this is a tricky one. No, I don't think he is superstitious. He looks pretty intelligent. Intelligent people generally, I feel like, are not that superstitious. So we would, without saying a word, so that tells everyone that the murderer is not superstitious. So now they're going to look for superstitious people. They're like, oh yeah, Joe Dirt looking dude over here, he's definitely superstitious. Let's see, I don't know, maybe this chick, she's got a lucky sock. She definitely looks superstitious. And this is really the crux of the game here, when all of the detectives are just going to be completely making up lives and backstories for this different characters and just arguing to no ends and being like, no, that guy's totally not superstitious. He's in, he works at a McDonald's, but he's a manager, so that's clearly he's not superstitious. And that really is the crux of the game. So anywho, you're going to continue to go until either all of the non-guilty people are eliminated from the game and you only have the killer, or until you eliminate the killer, at which point the game ends immediately. He runs free on the street and stabs everyone. But anywho, after this you'll probably play it about 3 or 4 more times because you're going to be laughing so hard. Now, there is also a competitive version of the game where you will break up into teams, and you'll have one person being the witness on your teams, and that works a little bit differently, as when you successfully eliminate a suspect, you're going to be gaining points for that, and so that one is more of a race to get the most points, or play to X amount of points depending on how long you want the game to be. But that, in a nutshell, is how Unusual Suspects is played. Alrighty then, Unusual Suspects from Cool Mini or Not. What are my final thoughts? Let's go over the pros, let's go over the cons. Before we do that, I do want to mention one thing. This was one of my most anticipated games of Gen Con 2016. I was chomping at the bits to play this game, but did it live up to the hype? Let's go over the pros and cons. First, on the con side, the game is not going to be for everybody for a couple different reasons. This is a party game, pure and simple. This is a party game, which is immediately going to turn off a lot of people. Also, there's not much game in this box, so to speak. It's not a deck builder, a worker placement, a Euro game. It's mostly all about the peer-to-peer social interaction, creating and weaving stories about all these characters you have in front of you. And that's really what the game is. This is way more of a social game than a gamer's game, I would say. But don't let that turn you off to the game, though. Continuing onward, some people are going to feel uncomfortable playing this game because you're going to have to make generalizations about people that you know absolutely nothing about, and some people just don't like that. Imagine a little bit of like the first round of Werewolf, where you're just like, that guy looks guilty, let's kill him. Okay, kill him. There's a little bit of this in that game where you're like, I don't know, who would send their mom a birthday present? How am I supposed to figure this out? And that is going to turn some people off. That's what I got. That's all I've got. Moving on to the pros, Unusual Suspects is one of my favorite games of all time. I feel like this is now my #1 party game of all time. Slap a Bauer's best seal on it. I absolutely love Unusual Suspects. And I don't know if I've laughed this hard at a game in a very long time. So let's move on to the pros. What I love about Unusual Suspects, I don't know how to explain it. Just every time I've gotten to play this, and right now I'm probably about 10, 15 plays of this, I just laugh, and everyone at the table is laughing. And you would think that when you're the witness, you're not going to have as much fun because you can't say anything. But it's honestly just as much fun as you try to completely stone-face yourself while these people are just throwing these incredibly outlandish theories about the people in front of you. Like this guy right here, clearly he works at an Aeropostale, and if he works at an Aeropostale, then clearly he surfs, and if clearly he surfs, then he is likely to drag sand into the house, and if he's likely to drag sand into the house, then you would not want to eat food off his floor, so clearly this guy does not eat food off the floor. As you go through the game, you are going to start making up these characters' lives and just connecting things you said earlier to things that you say now, and it is such an incredibly fun journey going on this. One more con I forgot to mention is this game can literally be over in under a minute. You pick the wrong person at the beginning of the game, boom, the game is over. Did want to mention that. but it's hilarious, it's fun. I liked the base version of the game, I liked the competitive version of the game, and I really like the competitive version of the game because you can actually play with more than 2 teams. Like, there's no limit to the number of teams you can play with, except with how many cards you have. So I would like to see more cards in the future. I knew they're going to do like a Dice Tower version of cards. I really wish I would have got one made while I was at Gen Con, but that's neither here nor there. I like the variety of questions. I like the fact that there's some blank ones in there too, so you can just make up a question on the fly. But I will say that you have to be careful with that when you could have people be like, does this person have a mustache? Like, come on, Rick, really? You're gonna ask that kind of question? But overall, put it simply, if you have, I don't even know. I feel like most gaming groups are going to love this game. It's an amazing filler game. It's an amazing party game, and it is quite possibly the funniest game I have ever played. And I love party games. Unusual Suspects from Cool Mini or Not is a home run in every sense of the word. This should be on your shelf. I love, love, love this game. If you enjoyed this review, please be sure to click on the subscribe button down below in the comments below. Let me know. Do you think I would send a birthday card to my mother? Let me know in the comments below what you think and why. And as always, thanks for your time, YouTube.